Hi guys, I'm making this video because I want to highlight all of the really good stuff that I saw in your discussion board from last week. I finished grading all of the discussion boards, so you'll find your grades. You guys did an awesome job. And so I just want to kind of go through this little PowerPoint that I made here. I'm talking about each one of the various elements that I saw that were just really done well. And then I also feel like if you watch this video, it will help you, particularly with the thesis statement section, to kind of improve your thesis statement, get some examples of some working thesis statements that are happening right now. Of course, you saw all of your classmates' thesis statements, but I want to highlight a couple of them. Okay, so let's go through this. Eric and Callie, you guys had some really great thesis statements that I wanted to highlight here and read and talk about a little bit. Eric, you said, anonymous websites and applications are a big outlet for individuals to reach other individuals through the web. Since the messages can be anonymous, this causes the choice of vocabulary to be much more explicit and can cause bullying, terrorism, and harassment. I really like your thesis statement here, Eric, because it's broad. I think that in this essay, a lot of students in the past have focused in on their case study too much. The case study is there to help make the broad argument. And so I think one of the things that helps you not just talk about the case study, helps you bring it back to a broader argument, is having a broader thesis statement. And I think that you did an excellent job with that here. Callie, your thesis statement says, in our day and age, the last thing our society needs are debates that take place over social media. In a time of high emotion following events such as the Los Angeles shooting or the Parkland massacre, the hashtag One Less movement was created and has thus started national debates regarding gun control in the United States. So again, I like that you have this broader argument at the beginning of your thesis statement. And I can also see, what I really like too is that I can see your case study here. So I know what you're going to be talking about, but I know how it connects to the bigger argument. So I thought that was very effective. Also, Ian and I think who is this? Ian and Jacob. Yeah, okay. You guys also had really good thesis statements. So Ian, yours says social media is changing the way that media is presented to the public in a very drastic way, especially for artists who work very hard on specific projects just to see them buried under a plethora of selfies and pictures of food. This is a growing problem in the subset of skateboarding, as it used to be full-length skateboard films would be collaborated on for years and years of work. With the birth of Instagram, these full-length pieces of artwork and dedication are now rare, with the majority of content being 15-second to 20 to 2-minute videos. So again, we have this broader argument and a glimpse of your case study here. Jacob, you said the Never Again movement was started by students to bring about improved gun control measures and attempt to stop mass shootings at schools, thus realizing a safer environment. Social media in all its forms provides the platform and transformative means by which the young and powerless can swiftly, directly, substantially, and effectively produce consequential movements that can substantially impact the lives of many people. Phenomenal thesis statement. What I like the most about your thesis statement is that actually you begin with your case study, but then you broaden it up to something bigger. In fact, I think that is the most effective structure to have your thesis statement formatted as, and that's phenomenal. Your wording is great and language is beautiful. So these are 4 examples from current student, you guys are doing your work right now, 4 examples of really strong thesis statements. I did make sure to comment. I tried to comment on everyone's thesis statement. So when you are looking at your comments, you'll find thesis statement comments here. If you go into the My Grade section, you'll see, this will say something like discussion board or APA discussion board handout assignment, something like that. And then you'll see a blue comment here with your grade. This is where you'll see comments on your thesis statement. If you have comments on your thesis statement, they could be anything from, make some changes, or I need you to make an argument, or restructure it, or hey, this is a great thesis statement, good job. If you don't have any comments on your thesis statement, you're good to go. Okay, I just wanted to put a note of that in here. Okay, so some other highlights here is the explanation of project ideas. Kirstin, you did a great job explaining your project. You said, I'm analyzing the negative effects of social media on the 2016 U.S. presidential election. Social media's influence can be a positive thing, but the election and its candidates chose to wield it as a tool to knock each other down. Traditional mainstream media was secondary to the instant nature and complex interactions between candidates and voters on social media in the election. False information, name-calling, and bragging dominated most of the candidates' tweets and posts. This negative attitude translated to voters and users on social media as intense and sometimes violent arguments broke out among voters on opposite sides of issues during the election and after. Well said. I mean, this beautifully written explanation of your project idea. When I read that, I was like, yes, Kirstin, this is what I'm looking for. You did a great job. It's clear. I see the line of thought following, your analysis of rhetoric. I see the case study that you're going to look at. I see the broader argument that you're making about social media. It's all here in this explanation. I think you did an excellent job with that. Also, Callie, you did a great job explaining your project. I decided to do my research on the hashtag #OneLessMovement because it is so prominent in our society today. Especially in our society, young people have such a huge platform to make a difference. With that being said, I think it is important for us young people to educate ourselves on difficult topics such as gun control before we tend to take our personal opinions to larger platforms like social media. For instance, in many interviews when asked about the gun laws we have set in place today, or even what AR stands for in AR-15, people cannot answer correctly, yet they are protesting against it. I think it is very important to know what you are protesting and evidence or reasoning you have behind why you do or don't support these topics. I think this topic was interesting because it's so popular and allows a great educational discussion. Again, Callie, I think this is a great explanation of your ideas. You have broad general ideas, you have specific examples in your explanation. It's clear. I understand kind of maybe where you're headed with this. Your ideas, I don't even have to look at your handout and I know kind of what you're saying and the topic that you're picking. So I think you did an excellent job explaining your project there. Also, Callie, good job with discussing rhetoric. I really, I made a change with this semester's project. I asked that you guys really pay attention to rhetoric. Something I wanted my students in previous semesters to look at, but I didn't make it something that they had to look at, so most of them didn't. But here I asked you guys, please look at rhetoric, and Callie, your discussion of rhetoric was very well done. You talked about who the movement was presented to, the types of social media posts that we saw, the posts that were in harmony, but also posts that opposed your topic. People were using hashtags to mean certain things, to mean what the hashtag originally was meant for, but also to mean other things. You talked about how they used it to show one less gun because they broke their gun or they destroyed it, or one less gun because they purchased it away from the other people. And so I really like that you're talking here about the rhetoric of the hashtag, how it's being used to make an argument, and I think that that's just brilliant. Justin, your discussion of rhetoric, you talk specifically about language. The language used on Do It for State is usually slang and curse words to describe what's going on. They post it in a sense that it's crazy and interesting when really it's not crazy, not interesting, trashy, poisoning, right? Social media has no control. But I really like here that you're talking about rhetoric in terms of slang and curse words. I think that's so crucial to think about when we're looking at social media, because oftentimes we'll say things on social media that we wouldn't normally do, and I think your topic really speaks to that. So great job there. Kirstin, also talking about language. Donald Trump's rhetoric tended to steer towards name-calling and boasting. Hillary Clinton mainly focused on rhetoric that would boost her campaign. The air among the other candidates wasn't much better. They also continued verbal sparring. Love that phrase. Some voters' rhetoric was, similar and different to these different types of candidates. So again, Kirstin, I love how you're really analyzing the language here, and looking at the kind of compare and contrast between the election language, which I really think the language on social media made a difference in that election. So I think you really have something here. Okay, I also wanted to highlight from this discussion board some things that I've never seen before that I love, that I've thought about requiring, but you guys really did a phenomenal job, Zachary, Dana, Jacob, by citing your sources here. Like Dana and Zach, you guys actually linked us to sources. Dana, you have in parentheses your source. Zach, you said here is one thing, and over here I'm in the way, but over here is something else. Jacob, you said something that you heard on NPR. So really kind of like not just talking in general, but talking about specifics, talking about things that are actually concrete to help prove your point. And I just think that is so effective. I mean, a lot of with some things that I've read, you guys are saying, well, these people don't have proof to back up their argument. Their arguments fall flat without the proof. But here, you're taking the ideas that you're talking about and you're applying them, because here are the sources to back up your arguments. And I just think, the three of y'all just phenomenal, excellent there. I wanted to point out some really exciting handout designs that I saw throughout this discussion handout project. Dana, your handout with Beyonce was just very the theme, the color scheme, and everything. I just thought it was extremely effective. I loved that soft yellow, and then with the photos brought in the yellow tones, and you had kind of like 3 photos scattered in thoughtful places. I just thought that was so effective. Jacob, you really used boxes of text to help categorize your various elements, and I thought that was really effective, and it was dynamic. It was like always changing. There was something new in every box, but it wasn't really very distracting. I thought it was done very well. Fiona, your handout was so reminded me of something in a newspaper magazine, just very professional and nicely organized. When I first caught yours, I was like, wow, this is beautiful. I love it. These I just want to point out, really nice. You guys put in a little extra effort for your handouts, and I appreciate that. I love it. Then also, we had some great, all of you really did excellent kind of discussions here and talking about your topics, but 2 people kind of went, for me, above and beyond just with engaging with their classmates. So Kelsey and Ian, you guys did an awesome job. And like I said, everybody did a really good job, but I wanted to point out Kelsey and Ian because, Kelsey, a lot of things were discussed with your body positivity topic. There were a lot of thoughts presented. Have you thought about this? Well, what about this? There, even maybe some disagreement, and you handled it so well. And I thought that it was so effective, the way that you were engaging with your classmates. I still think that this is the case. And taking that opposing viewpoint and talking about your ideas with your classmates in an academic way was just extremely effective. And you kept on talking to your classmates as well. People would bring up ideas and you say, yeah, I have thought about that, or here's something else that I'm thinking about. And again, just consistently going back in and talking to your peers about your topic. And I thought you guys did a great job with that. And then finally, I think this is my last slide. Yeah. So my last slide is Joan. Your project, I'm giving it this, I guess, award of uniqueness and depth of research. Is so fascinating. And as I was going through your handout and your discussions on the discussion board, I realize you've done so much research for your project. I mean, that is the impression that I get. Your project is extremely unique. Picking a meme that, like, throughout some of your discussions, you mentioned that you really had to dig to find rare Pepe the Frog memes. And so you're analyzing in such a unique way. And then you're also digging in. And I felt like you had just such, all of these things. And, someone asked, like, oh, can you talk more about this concept of, like, the Russian hackers or something? You're like, yeah, actually, I can elaborate on that. And I'm still looking for research here. But your project just, to me, spoke to be one of those projects that you're really, really engaging with, and I thought that was awesome. So great job. You guys did an awesome job with this assignment. I mean, I really am proud of you. I really enjoyed reading through your writing. I apologize that I was not present within the discussion board last week. I was having some health issues, but I wanted to create this sort of like highlights of the discussion just to show you that I do engage with your work and I do think about it, and I love it. I think you guys did an awesome job. So kudos to you all. This is not video grading. This is just a big thumbs up that y'all are doing great. So I will post a video on Monday for the next, the last week of class. So y'all be ready and be working on your APA papers, and let me know if you need me.